Mysterious tunnels, underground Turkish baths, and gangster hideouts from the Prohibition all under the surface of a metropolitan city? It sounds like something out of an adventure book. However, this happens to be a reality in Melbourne, Australia. Melbourne sees 927,000 people each day and over 1 million tourists every year. But as tourists pose in front of Eureka and people rush to their offices, a quiet story unfolds under the city's streets, this being Melbourne's hidden and mysterious history. If you take a train to the Melbourne CBD, walk down Flinders Street, you will come across Degraves Street. On the street, tucked away in a corner, is the famed underground Campbell's Arcade. But this arcade is more than a pedestrian tunnel. Alongside its unique shops, the arcade contains a long history. Behind these iconic pink walls is a sealed-up entertainment arcade, hosting a very famous lost bowling alley.
Well, my name's Maya and I own Melbourne Walks. It's a walking tour company, probably the oldest in Melbourne. It's been running since 1991. The Degrave Street Underpass, otherwise known as Campbell's Arcade, was constructed in about 1955 to assist in moving the great crowds that were expected out of Flinders Street Station and into the city. Originally, at the end of it, it turned left and went up into the Mutual Store. These windows were originally the display windows for the Mutual Store. So as it turned left down there, which is now, of course, sealed off, there were various shops such as a bookshop, a hardware store, a coffee shop, tavern, and also on this side of the wall was an amusement arcade, including a bowling alley, which has been sealed off. In the early colonial period, basements were common, and there are a lot of tea houses in the basements. Well, basements are heavily out of fashion now. Everyone wants to be on the rooftop. So many of these basements are sealed off. When they sealed off that passageway, they also sealed off the bowling alley. But I've had plenty of people visiting and come on our tours who tell me stories. There was one person who told me he won the trophy. I think it was in 1971, the bowling trophy in that lane. That's not something he would forget. He was quite proud of it. There are doors on that side which are sealed. I'd love to go in there, but it's been sealed off.
While on shoot, our team was curious whether there was any physical evidence of there being space behind the Campbell's Arcade. Wherever we went, we also kept seeing vintage signs labelled telephone pointing towards doors. We found that there was one remaining part of the arcade which spread out from the main walkway. This place has been repurposed into the stunning backpackers hostel and bar, Selena. After walking in, it was hard not to notice the iconic pink mosaic walls and a vintage elevator. Walking down into the bar, we not only found a spacious underground area, but also a set of stairs leading back to Campbell's Arcade. And on the walls, vintage telephone boxes. The arcade is soon to shut down for 2 years due to the Metro Melbourne Tunnel project. Though most locals support the project, there is ambiguity as to how the arcade will be preserved.
So my name's Guy. I represent Wax Museum Records. We've been established down here in the Campbell Arcade since February 2006. Moving out next week's going to be a bittersweet feeling. On the one hand, we have a lot of history down here, a lot of memories, and it's become synonymous with part of our brand. But on the other hand, it's a new challenge of a new space, and it provides and presents some new opportunities to us. So with that, we're looking forward to it. I understand why it's necessary to do what, as far as I'm aware, they're planning to do and connect a tunnel to the new station. So it's going to be easy to switch between all the stations without getting caught up in the foot traffic and the general traffic upstairs on street level. I hope they preserve it. They're not able to sort of destroy the arcade per se because it is heritage listed, I believe. But it's got so much soul and character to it that I hope it gets reopened properly and that it's not just a lost artefact of the CBD.
I wouldn't be surprised if the arcade never opens again in its present form. That's based on, I've seen other arcades in the city of Melbourne destroyed. So the Sticky Institute has moved out this week after 21 years. The Cat's Meow was vintage clothing for women. The Cup of Truth which is either closing this week or next week. The Wax Museum, a touch of Paris. 30 years ago, a migrant came from Italy, married a stylist from Myers and started the hairdresser, which was here for a quarter of a century. But he wasn't a hairdresser, he was actually an opera singer. That's it. For $15, he cut your hair and sang opera. For $20, he didn't sing. Yeah, it's sad to see these people driven out. I mean, nobody knows the future, but the only way to know the future is to look at the cycles of the past, because they repeat.